Yes, he did at the Stiff Chiswick Challenge night, and Ian was as pissed as you would believe. What had happened was that we were supposed to be on third, and Paul Morley and Kevin Cummins, his group, who were called the Inadequates, I think, they were just a piss take group. He just used to get up, come play, and just piss about, and just for the crack, Paul Morley would recite some of his prose. And we were saying, don't fuck with us, we're supposed to be playing this gig so that Stiff Chiswick could see us, and he's going, oh, you'll be alright, we'll let you on after us and all that, and it all went off. And as it ended up, we ended up going on at 2 o'clock in the morning, when everybody had gone. So Ian was so wound up by it all and so pissed that he snapped, he grabbed hold of Tony, he tried to strangle him, and then when he went on stage he started smashing the old gaff up, me and Barry were like, fucking hell. He smashed the table on the dance floor and started throwing it at the punters and everything, and he was a wild man. And Tony Wilson saw it and thought, oh wow, they are interesting after all, because he basically ignored us when we'd been trying, because Ian was very, very, very serious about the group. And Tony he just didn't listen to him, whenever he went to talk to him, he wouldn't listen to him. So Ian just snapped. And it was after that that Rob started managing us. And then they got together, and Tony heard us play. We played about 5 songs, and Tony liked it. But by that time it was digital glass. It was the good stuff. When Ian got ill, Ian was so good at hiding his illness that you never really noticed that he was ill until he collapsed.
Because there's a famous story about him having a fit in a motor car.
Yeah, that was when he started on the way home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was that the first indication you had of his illness?
Yeah, that was his first fit. That one. I wasn't in the car, I was driving the van.
Right.
Morning. But that was his first epileptic fit. That one.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat there with Ian holding his tongue for an hour one night when we played in Bournemouth. Everybody went to the bar, they were fed up. He wouldn't stop fitting. I had to take him, me and Rob. Rob sat on him, I held his tongue for an hour. And then we took him, put him in the car and took him to the hospital. And the hospital said, you've got to get some early nights, son. You've got to stop drinking, you've got to stop being in front of flashing lights. Basically, they told him to stop being in a band. And he wouldn't do it. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to be Jim Morrison, I suppose. So he carried on drinking, he carried on staying up late, and it made him iller and iller and iller. And he was giving him so many tablets, it's wonder he didn't bleed in rattle, but he was still very, very good at hiding it. Excellent at hiding it, unbelievable. I've never seen anybody act so well when they were so ill. It was incredible. But I mean, you see, you were young though. He's got the hay fever and dying with it. You're 23, and you just don't notice. I mean, if it was now, and I saw someone the way Ian was, I mean, he cut himself up with knives. Chopped himself, his whole body up, and the doctors let him out and gave him back to us, and he came back to us, alright lads, we're going for a drink. And you're like, this is a bit weird. I thought you weren't you in hospital the other day? Oh, I'm alright now, don't worry about that. And he's mindful, I think people are a lot more clued up about everything now. Like a 23-year-old kid 21 years ago was not very clued up about anything. A 23-year-old kid these days is a hell of a lot more clued up. You'd spot it. But I mean, he was getting more depressed and more depressed, and he was getting iller and iller. Yeah, I mean, I drove him home on the Friday night, and we were in the car, and we were both laughing, going, yes! New York, Los Angeles, Texas, yes! He's driving down the road screaming. And he went home Saturday night, had another row with his missus, and bleeding killed himself. So I was sat there with my bag packed, nowhere to go, that bastard. I'd have killed him if he hadn't killed himself for that one.
What was that? What happened? I mean, how long did it take to sort of decide you were going to carry on?
Oh, I don't think we ever doubted for 1 minute that we weren't going to carry on. We didn't know what we were going to do. I mean, it's such a shock. You can't even remember the absolute shock of it now. I mean, my mum died recently, and that sort of brings it back. And when my dad died, that's the sort of shock you can equate with it. But it was just, we spent loads of time together, us and the crew, because the crew were all our friends. We just spent loads of time together, and we knew we were going to carry on. We didn't know what the hell we were going to do. And it was quite soon, actually, because we were all full-time musicians. So we sort of had to get on with it. We had to, and you wanted to carry on doing something, just to keep yourself going, to take your mind off it. The strangest one is the Chameleons, because to my mind the Chameleons made the best, closest Unknown Pleasures record ever. That LP there sounded like somebody had cloned Unknown Pleasures. Unbelievably close. And they're just really doing really well again, aren't they? Chameleons. But I mean, there's a lot of bands that sound like U2. God, I mean, U2 took up the Joy Division mantle when we laid it down, didn't we? Which sound just like Joy Division. Ripped us off lock, stock and barrel. I should bill them. I should send them a bill, that bleeding Bono. He's got a lot more money than I have. Musically, Bernard and I were very run-of-the-mill Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Free, Who Live at Leeds type thing, you know, dead normal. And we started the group, and I'll always remember that everybody kept saying to us we sounded really like the Doors. And I said to Bernard, I said, who are the fucking Doors? And Ian said, you've never heard the Doors? And I said, no, I've never heard them. I'd never heard the Doors. And he brought an LP in, and it blew me down. We did sound like the Doors, it was incredible. But we'd never noticed it, so we started doing Riders on the Storm as an encore then, just to get the gag back. But I mean, it was Ian that sort of educated us. He brought us the Iggy Pop LPs in, he brought us the Stooges, he brought us Lou Reed in, played it to us, so this is what we should sound like, this is what we should be looking for, you know, Kraftwerk. And me and Barney were like, well, please, no, I've never heard any of this. It was incredible. I mean, the funny thing is that Bernard and I in particular were always the one that used to get on his case. We were always the one. I'd sit on this side of him, Bernard would sit there, and I'd go, it's your turn. He'd go, fuck off, it's your turn. Tell him the snare's too quiet. And Barney'd go, fuck off, you tell him. I go, and go, Martin. And he'd go, won't you two fuckers ever shut up? Stop bothering me, get out! And I go, well, I just thought the hi-hat was a bit too quiet, Martin, you know. And then it'd be Barney's turn next, and so the next time he'd go, get these, and he'd run out and he'd get Rob and he'd say, get these two dickheads out of here, they're driving me mad. So, but I mean, we didn't give up, because it was too important, so he stuck around, and you bugged him. Warsaw Pat, yeah. No, but I remember I phoned up the girl who was the booker at the, what was it called? Elephant and Castle. There must have been a big gig in them days. And I phoned up and said, listen, I said, we're a band from Manchester, we call Warsaw. And she said, you know, we're after a support gig or anything. So she said, oh, you've no chance of getting a gig with a name like Warsaw. She said, there's a band in London called Warsaw Pats, and they cut a disc direct to disc. They recorded and went straight to the cut, and that was their claim to fame. They got loads of press for it. So they were playing everywhere, really. So we said, right, so we changed our name to Joy Division. And I phoned her back at the Elephant and Castle and said, oh, hello. I said, it's Peter Hooky here again from the group called Warsaw. She said, oh, yeah. And I said, we've changed our name now. We're just wondering if there's any chance of getting a gig, you know. So she said, what's your name now then? I said, Joy Division. She said, you've got no chance of getting a gig ever with a name like Joy Division. And Uncle, I don't know what happened to her.
How did you agree on the name? Because I know that it's
yeah. I can't honestly remember, but I remember the other one was Slaves of Venus. And we didn't want to be called Slaves of Venus. So it was quite lucky. I mean, it was almost as good as New Order. New Order was Witch Doctors of Zimbabwe. And Steve and Rob wanted it to be called Witch Doctors of Zimbabwe. So Bernard and I said, well, if it's going to be called Witch Doctors of Zimbabwe, well, I'm leaving. I'm not being in a band called Witch Doctors of Zimbabwe. It's no chance, mate. And that was how we got New Order. That was how we